So I am here today and I get the honor of being with Miss Kasandra Alicea. Did I say that right?
You did.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Cassandra, thank you for coming together with me this afternoon and exploring such a subject and a topic that is so hot off the press right now. Uh, we'll talk about that and our president and some of the changes that took place the last couple of weeks. However, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, my friend.
Okay, so thanks for meeting with me today. I appreciate your time. So I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I've been born and raised here. Live out in the what used to be the country of San Antonio. Now it's just the suburbs, but born and raised in San Antonio. I've been in real estate for about almost 3 years now. I was in the beauty industry before for many, many years, and had an immense passion for real estate, and just never really thought that it was something I could do. There was nobody that looked like me, that sounded like me, or anything in the real estate industry, especially in what is close to South Texas. So I just thought that wasn't possible, and I was just conditioned to know that I was fit to do one thing.
Mhm.
After many, 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 many years, I got to work one day and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I thought, this cannot be, this cannot be the rest of my life. So I just decided to quit and jump into real estate. And I try to always live by the motto of the law of attraction. So, manifest what you want, think positive. And I had to teach myself all that. And I thought the way I was living and working was not conducive to that lifestyle, because I was just conforming. So I jumped into the game and here I am.
I love that. I love that. So the law of attraction, we share the same mindset. And I think that is so key, so key. So we're going to hammer into that in just a minute. But you told me when I talked with you last about your family's history, about your dad and mom and being Puerto Rican. And then but tell me about your upbringing and what that looks like.
Yeah, so I come from a traditional Hispanic family. My grandparents and my dad and my uncles and everybody were in construction. We have my family has a masonry business. My dad was from Puerto Rico, born in Puerto Rico, raised in the Bronx, New Yorican. And my mom is Mexican and was born and raised and lived all her life here in San Antonio. Her parents were from Mexico, and so I grew up here in San Antonio around all of my mom's family, which is small. So I grew up, like we mentioned, we kind of touched on earlier, around my Mexican side of the family. So I speak Spanish with a Mexican accent. And my father straight up spoke like Puerto Rican from New York with that Bronx accent. And all his family speaks what is known to be Puerto Rican. And it's just, when I've been to Puerto Rico, so you got to listen to everything they say. Knowing Spanish, I have to still, kind of hang on every word and process what they're saying quickly. But, like we mentioned also, every nationality in the Latin community has their own dialect and accent. So, it's just, we're worlds apart, but still the same.
There's no Puerto Rican accent whatsoever, huh?
Well, the Spanish is different. They don't pronounce some S's and stuff at the end of words, and it's very quick compared to the Mexican Spanish. And if you hear someone from Mexico and someone from Puerto Rico speaking Spanish, you're listening to two completely different. Like someone who doesn't speak Spanish can tell that it's two different worlds.
I see. Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks for that cultural experience. Understanding. I love talking about culture. That's why I am the chairperson of PRISM, right? And that we are celebrating diversity and making sure that we create just exposure. And so with you being here today, representing the transgender community, I am elated to know more about that. And, it's coming from the suburbs and some parts of the country. So people haven't been exposed. And to me, my thoughts were to get on here today and to kind of better understand, your journey so that you can help others see what we could change our way of looking at things to understand just the transgender community more, because of you being our great example. We have you right here today, and so I'm excited about some of the questions I have and I thought about this week. So talk to me about you and the transgender community and how you believe it's shown up in the real estate world and how it's impacted you being bold and what your life journey has looked like in the real estate community.
So I am So the transition was for the most part smooth, but I am used to overcoming the hurdles of introducing people to the lifestyle because I transitioned in the mid-90s. So, you know, I've been through all that. That was a different time. I think the presence of a trans person in real estate, in the real estate industry or in the professional arena overall, I think it has a huge impact on the trans community and LGBT community as a whole, because that's not something we're used to seeing. There are those select few that are lucky enough to be celebrities or be known on television or in those platforms for different things, but that is also viewed as, you know, one in a million kind of opportunity, whereas just everyone in the community, especially the trans people in the LGBTQ plus community, don't feel that they have an opportunity to share. And simple things like having what we would consider a normal job. Not that any job isn't normal, but being in the mainstream public and having a professional career. That's just not something that a lot of people are conditioned to think that they're able to achieve. So having someone in that role to see, you know, I never saw anyone that looked or sounded like me in this arena. So I think doing that helps other people realize that they can do it. You know, I think it's easier, the younger generation in our community is easier impacted by this, whereas people from my generation, you know, give or take, there's, you know, different opinions of it, but I think overall it's a good thing because we have to live in this world too, you know, so we deserve a fair shot. Everyone deserves a fair shot. I think society has conditioned us to think that maybe you belong over here and, you know, just tread lightly.
Okay.
So.
No, that's good. That's good. And I think that you said it best. Absolutely. So what do you think is missing in the real estate industry, you know, that pertains to really helping this group? What do we need to be doing differently in your mind?
I think, of course, not everyone, because it's not the responsibility of everyone, but I think there should be more representation of the trans community, you know, sprinkled throughout different markets, just so that people that are like us can see that it's a possibility, not only to have that type of career and live, you know, a more secure life, but also so that people in the LGBT community overall realize that maybe home ownership is something that they can achieve, because that's another big thing that is just like a subcategory of that, because we're just, for the most part, renters, you know, and you don't think that that's a possibility. And then there are different levels to it. Maybe some people, let's just stick on the trans topic, some trans people may want to own, but they don't have anyone that they feel comfortable with going through the process.
Right.
So, and then, you know, we've all changed our name. So when lenders pull everything, it says previous names, no matter if you changed your name 20 years ago or a year ago. So that's a discussion that a person has to have with their lender or someone. And if that person doesn't know everything about them, it gets very nerve-wracking, you know, and everybody's on a different level. So there are many levels to why people don't think they can or don't want to follow the dream of buying a home or even going into the industry.
That's great. So, you know, I'm so glad you brought that up, because you know what, it's called objections, right? In real estate, objection handler. So how are we to handle that as a real estate agent with sending someone over to a lender to get pre-qualified, and we're moving them forward, right? So what are some of the best practices that you've seen that we should know about?
So I think it's paramount. I had to go through this whole journey. You have to find, as myself as a trans realtor, working with many people, I would say 60-70% of my clientele is from the LGBT community, not necessarily trans, but so I had to find and pair myself with a lender that gets it, you know, that understands the level of respect that is required, that personally and mentally agrees or views things the way maybe I do or we do, so that they naturally just give that respect, and then just kind of break it down to them on the back end of, as far as like, this is maybe what you may see when you pull this, but obviously this was a situation, this is how you address it. Just kind of educate them, and having that right person on your team that understands and respects that will make the process much easier, which I find was pretty easy to find. I've been fortunate to work with lenders that are amazing, and they just, have nothing but the utmost respect for my clients. So that's the main thing. It's just teaming yourself with someone on lending and in title that will respect your clients as much as you do.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm so glad we slowed down to talk about that, because I think that can really help someone out. Talk about mentoring. You seem like someone that just is, I would say, just so well respected. I know here in the Alliance, you definitely are in the community. Did you ever have a mentor that also showed you the way to be, as far as helping you with your path of just success and understanding success and how to keep moving forward? What kind of mentor did you have?
So this is going to sound very cliche, but for the most part through life, I have used people in the media or, and this is going to sound so cliche, but for the majority of my adult life, I have just lived and breathed and died by Oprah. And I know that sounds crazy, but she, I was in my late teens, early 20s when I started watching her show, and I just kind of gravitated to what she would say. And I thought, well, she would speak about her challenges and overcoming and getting to the levels that she achieved. I thought, well, if she could do it, I could do it. And then it was sometime in the late 90s that she introduced me and many of the people in the world to the law of attraction, which I now realize I'm reading another book that was written 103 years ago, that I realized that was a topic that was something from a long time ago. But I live by that. And so as corny as it sounds, really, I've kind of like listened to her, and I've even thought, like, what would she do? So unfortunately, I don't have like a philosophical answer for you, but really that's kind of where I think of it, because that showed me someone, because I also came from a family who wasn't economically advantaged. And I grew up around many people who were very affluent, so I was the different one on many levels. And I realized, well, it's not necessarily getting to that level to have things, it's just to realize that you can achieve different levels of life. And so I kind of just took that path into adulthood. So that would be the main one. Most recently, I do have other mentors. I joined the real estate industry right after a great friend of mine. She's also trans, so she kind of broke the ice, or broke the barrier within my brokerage, and then we've kind of just taken off together. But that would be the main thing. And I know that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but
no, you know what? I have the best acronym that I'm going to post on my my whiteboard. WWOD.
I literally have told myself, what would she do? Like, is it worth that? Is it worth clapping back? Is it worth, how you think about things? So it really has been that. And that has really helped me. I've never really, I don't think, verbalized that to many people.
Well, I'm glad that we slowed down, because I find that the most successful people that I have met generally, focus on the vibration of the law of attraction. And so know that is a part of your success in the last 3 years. That's pretty phenomenal, that someone could be listening here today to understand, to go back and pull that apart. So before we go further, what is that book that you're reading that you have found value in?
So it is Think and Grow Rich, and I'm going to pull it up. Think and Grow Rich. So I also, my most recent mentor, just slightly through real estate, is Noelle Randall.
Okay.
So, and I don't mean to not look at the camera, I'm looking at my phone so I can cheat. Noelle Randall does like little quick inspirational YouTube videos about real estate and growing businesses and all that. And then Think and Grow Rich. Oh, let me know. Think and Grow Rich. I'm trying to see who the author was. And there
Napoleon Hill.
Oh, you said that. Yeah. There you go. Oh, well, you know the book, obviously. So she was like one of the staples you have to read. Every person who has achieved XYZ that what is what I want to do. So I purchased the original version. So it is a bit dated in its speech and stuff. There were revised versions, but I wanted to get the original just to see how it was originally written. And then I'll probably get the updated version from this century. because there's some language in there that really isn't appropriate, you know, when in discussion in reference to people. But the book itself is awesome, just the way, you know, certain cultures are referenced.
Sure, sure. Well, I am thankful that you shared that with us, because I think that everything goes back to mindset. So, yeah. Kasandra, you know, it sounds like it's been a breeze and everything has been really this phenomenal journey for you. However, what pain and what obstacles had you had to go through to become the Kasandra that we see today, that's here, bold, intelligent, and full of joy? Because honestly, you know, sometimes it's everybody has a journey. So tell me about your journey of difficulty in the real estate industry, or just finding your path to success, just being yourself. What did that look like?
So the past few years in the real estate industry have been fairly smooth, but that's attributed more to the challenges I've overcome and hardships of my late teens and all of my 20s. Just for instance, going to college. I wasn't in the beauty industry, but I went to college for something completely different. Was told that wasn't going to be for me, so I ended up just doing that. But just taking the initiative to go to college out in San Marcos, you know, I don't know. So that was a big thing, and I was scared to do it because there was no one there like me, but just jumping in and doing it. But you get, this was years and years ago, but you get those comments that you have to overcome, and it just grows your thicker skin. So the biggest, I guess, adversity that I have always had to deal with is people who don't understand or aren't educated on it, and their comments. That doesn't bother me anymore, and it doesn't really happen as much anymore, I think, because my look has evolved, the world has evolved, and there just aren't as many people like that anymore in the world. There are still a lot, but it's different than it was 20 years ago. That would have to be the biggest thing, just what everyone else's opinion, and when they verbalize it unnecessarily. School was the biggest thing, college, because I transitioned after high school. That was the biggest obstacle for me, because it was a uphill battle every day.
Got it.
And then you get little jobs here and there when you're young and you're just starting out, and it's that whole introduction to that workspace, or introduction to this group of people, like, oh, this person's now working here. And I've gone through that many times in the past. Those are the biggest things that people like myself have to kind of deal with on a daily. Once I got to this age and this level and I joined the real estate industry, that probably happened, but you just create such a thick skin in a good way. And I feel a presence, or just a mindset that you just go into situations not caring, So, when you respect yourself and you tell people this is how this will be and this is how you treat me, people just kind of do it, Not verbally tell them, but with your energy in a nice way. When you enter a room and you have confidence and you make them realize that you don't care what anyone thinks and I'm just human, people just kind of automatically adapt. And it's very interesting to see, but that's really the way I have to live my life. I don't think about the whole trans thing, or people, for lack of a better word, I don't know how else to say it without not coming across correctly, but when someone gets clocked, meaning when you enter a space, someone realizes that you are trans and not a cis female, not even thinking about that doesn't portray that energy out, so people don't even realize it, So I just kind of learned how to navigate my mental state, and then it makes my life easier. And that's the trick that everyone has to do, because if you're thinking about it constantly, you're putting that energy out, so everyone's going to pick up on that and realize what's going on,
So now I've learned the word clock. So as far as clocking, clocking, WWOD. So clocking, you've dealt with that all your life, right? With this whole period of time. So talk to me. When did you start the process of change as far as in your life? So
I was introduced to the LGBT community at the age of 17, right before I turned 18. And after high school, just started going out and with my friends and having a good time. So halfway into my 18th year of life, I started doing drag, going out to the gay bars in drag, and quickly realized, like, once I saw, and this is kind of leads back to where, you know, a lot of the people like myself are geared towards job-wise, because once I saw a drag show, it was the first time for me ever seeing a trans woman or someone, you know. And as soon as I saw that, mind you, I grew up in a traditionally Hispanic family. My grandmother never worked a day in her life. My grandfather owned a construction company. You know, the men do this and the women do this. And I still carry some of those traits into my adulthood, but because I'm Latin, so I, you know, that kind of thing, but nothing that is disrespectful to men or women. But once I saw a trans woman on stage and I realized that that was a thing, literally my whole life changed. It was like a light bulb, and I thought, oh, that is what I am. I get it now. So I quickly started evolving, started doing drag. So by the time I was 19, a few months after my 19th birthday, I was doing drag so often that it was like, are you going to live this way or what's going on? So I just transitioned at the age of 19.
19.
I'll be 45 in a month and a half.
And a beautiful 45 you are. So talk to me as far as, thank you for sharing that. That's you know, what most people may not have experienced at all, right? So thank you for bringing that up. And how are you like really transitioning to growing others in the community and seeing the from going from drag queen to, you know, businesswoman to wealth building houses, selling homes? What are you doing in the community to really make a strong impact? What does that look like?
So it's part of it is very simple. I post a lot for business purposes, but also so that people see that it's possible. And pre-COVID and hopefully soon, mixers are a great thing. So, you know, with the like Real Estate Alliance group that we're in and other groups, always have little mixers and networking events. Those are great to have for business purposes, but I also like to involve other people that I know personally to kind of invite one or two here and there so that they see that arena and they realize that that is a possibility. Because a lot of people that I've known for 20 plus years in the industry know me. I did own a salon years ago, so they know that I've done things like that. But to see me doing things of that capacity in a different job field, I think is a little foreign to them. So I try to involve people that I know as much as possible so that they can see that they can do it as well. Because not to say that they want to become a realtor, but, you know, maybe they want to get into title or to get into lending or become an accountant or whatever the case may be. And I think the more people from our community see people from our community doing certain things, they will change their mindset and thinking, I can do that too, you know. And that's really the main thing. Like whatever it is, even if it's like open your own mobile grooming station or whatever, you know, the dream is, they can do it.
I love that law of attraction, high-minded mindset that you possess, and it's all in your soul. So that's so phenomenal. Talk to me about, as a minority woman, what do you think just as a minority in your journal, what are some of the bigger obstacles that minority transgenders face just by being a minority?
Well, I think we face a lot of the same challenges that everyone that is a minority faces on paper because of our names. Like, you know, if you have a Spanish or a traditionally African-American name, sometimes that you could be in a position of disadvantage. But on another level, I think it is still part of the world not being educated and not knowing that on top of everything else that's going on in today's climate with everything, I think that is the biggest challenge, because not only are we a minority in the sense of race, but then you add the layer of the transgender world to it, and that just makes people think that it's almost like, this is the way I describe it. There are many people out there that think, and unfortunately sometimes people like myself have people in their own family that think this. It's almost that some people feel allowed to think that we are a subclass or subhuman. So they just put us in that box. And then when you're a person of color or minority, it's just extra weight on that. And we need to somehow condition people to realize, and the mainstream media is doing an okay job at helping, but we need to condition people to realize that we just belong in society with everyone else. So I guess really conditioning people to not think that the trans world is a subhuman class of people, because that is a thing.
I see. I see. So no, that sounds like very familiar through the territory of just walking the walk every day as a minority, right?
Yeah.
You know, so as far as what you're doing, when you think about some of the journey of the obstacles, what has given you the biggest strength that has carried you through today with going through these obstacles? What has really strengthened you the most to give you this smile and this courageous spirit that you possess today?
Two things: the support of my family and friends, but mostly my family, you know, because I have a strong support system at home. Small family, but extremely supportive. So personally, that has helped. And then I attribute my, I mean, I don't want to say mental stability because I can get crazy, but my mindset and my strength to my faith. I am very, very spiritual and religious, and that stems from my upbringing in the Hispanic culture. So I am a true, you know, you would think I'm a 90-year-old little Mexican lady. I have my candles on my stove and that whole but my faith is the biggest thing, really, and I hate to you know, impose that on people who maybe aren't as religious but more spiritual, or even not. I personally am extremely religious, so that helps me through everything. You know, it's like praying in the morning, at night, in traffic, you know, and then mixing that prayer. I always, you know, walk a fine line with this. I try to figure out how to do that, but mixing my prayer with my manifestations and affirmations, and saying, you know, one morning I'm waking up and I'm saying I am and I will and I do, and then the next morning I'm waking up saying those same things, but like, thank you God for blah blah blah, because you have to verbalize them and put them on paper, and you have to bring those things to you, that success and those daily occurrences to you. So it's a mix of that, mostly my faith, but I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't from the support of my family. Well,
thank you for sharing that. That's very courageous of you. I think that everybody has something that they're holding on to that gives them that ability to move on with their lives, and whether that's, you know, some type of belief, but it's, you know, something like you just recognize is working for you. I'm glad that you're able to really just verbalize that and stand tall in that, because that's important to you and it's brought you where you are today. So thank you for sharing that. As far as like just safety, you know, you're so bold and you're out there, and, you know, I read so many stories about here in Dallas about people dying, being jumped on, beat up, just, you know, just horrible stories, right, in the last couple of years. How do you handle that subject? How do you handle being safe? And are you seeing ignorance on the level of just making you feel as if you're unsafe? Talk to me about that and how we're protecting our community as well.
You know, I did many years ago, like, you know, in my first handful of years after transitioning. But for a long time, I admittedly kept myself, I guess, in a bubble, and I didn't ever experience the feeling of not being safe until the last few years or couple of years, when things really changed. And it got to the point, especially last year, that I became fearful for the first time, and then naively not realizing that other people have been feeling like this that are just like me for many years. But I became fearful of what will become of my future. What will become if I turn into that wrong neighborhood, or, you know, or just anything can happen. And that had a lot, the progression of my fear up until last year had part to do with things that were going on in the world, you know, administrations and stuff like that. But things are different now, so I have a positive outlook, and it sounds corny, but I try not to think about those things. I'm aware of it, and I realize that if anything happens, this may be how I take care of the situation. But I try not to think about those things happening to me particularly, because I don't want to put that out into the world.
The universal forces, right?
Yeah. And I know that sounds naive.
Fans, right?
Yeah. I don't want to be naive in thinking that could never happen to me, because it totally can, you know. You know, leaving a dinner downtown at night, walking to my car, you know, anything could happen. But I just don't want to think that about it constantly, so that I don't draw that to me, so
Okay.
I just, by the grace of God, just keep walking through life, hope everything goes well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I completely hope the same. So, you were Coldwell Banker, right? And you've been with Coldwell Banker, has it been the entire 3 years?
Yes.
Okay. And you're with the Alliance. So talk to us about why you're a partner with the Alliance and what your role and what you see your personal goal being with the Alliance.
Yeah, definitely. So the Alliance, when the Alliance started last year, I had probably a year and a half before that, I had already met with the founder and many other um, members of the founders of the Alliance prior. So I knew them on a semi-personal level. So when they were starting this organization, I thought I really have to jump on because their goal is to make a difference. The whole goal is to focus on fair housing, equality in the LGBT community and the real estate market, and many, many other things. So I thought it isn't a question, I have to join. I feel like what this organization is doing, and it's going to continue to do and grow upon, is making people realize that we do deserve home ownership, the American dream. We can achieve it as easily as possible. Hopefully, over time, we can recondition the credit bureaus and lenders and just people in general to not have a bias towards names or on paper what seems to be a person of one ethnicity to another, interest rates, loan approvals, that whole thing. So I think we can slowly grow to that. Mostly, especially right now, focused on fair housing, because having the ability to do it, but also not having the fear that you can get discriminated against, even if you are renting. Just to have a home. A home is just security. It's sanity. It's safety. So to think that someone can tell you no or take that away from you or not allow you to have that because of who you are is horribly fearful. So I think the Alliance is helping change that, so that people feel more comfortable and safer in their own skin and in their world. And then that will lead to other great things,
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, let me ask you one last question. When I think about you in 2020, 2021, in 2024, 3 years from now, your best self and growing, what do we need to be prepared to see from Kasandra in 3 years from now?
So I toy with the idea of opening my own brokerage to represent the community a little better, although I am torn because my brokerage, which is a franchise, it's Coldwell Banker, Deanne Harper Realtors. My broker here is amazing. My company is amazing. Coldwell Banker as a whole is, I love everything about where I am. So I feel horribly about even thinking about doing that because I never want to leave them. But I feel like I may get to the point that I want to represent the community a little better and offer a space for people like myself to come into. So that may be a huge thing that may come in the future. I don't know. I can't guarantee that. Aside from that, I think personally growing my real estate portfolio, I'm going to dabble in a couple of Airbnbs and things like that.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think the most important thing, and I have a couple of other businesses besides real estate. I'm a founder and president, CEO of a nonprofit for trans rights, and then I just recently started another business on this. So, I keep a little busy, but I think the most important thing that I would like that you will see that I'm involved in a few years is just my involvement in helping the real estate community grow in acceptance of the LGBT community. Of course, I think gay males and females are already in the industry, and that's kind of just expected, but maybe the more respected and the trans community being a little bit more involved as well. And me being part of that jump off.
Right. You are such an exceptional person. I'm so glad that you gave me your time today and we talked about doing this. And I'm glad that we took action and made it happen. It's such a pleasure being friends with you and authentic friends with you at a high level. So I'm thankful for our friendship, my friend.
Thank you. I am as well. I thoroughly enjoy you. So I'm glad we got to chat.
Absolutely. So we're gonna see each other in our next upcoming meeting. And
Yes.
for your time today, and I appreciate it. And I hope this video can help change someone's life. And remember, what would Oprah do?
What would Oprah do? And if I could say one thing to everyone out there looking at this video and think, ah, well, that just happened. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve on a daily level, on a daily basis, in the future, for yourself, if you can think it and believe that it is and feel it and just live by that and just block out the world's noise and the people saying you can't, because those people don't live in your head and don't realize what you can do. If you can just think it and believe it, you can do it. Like if I can say anything to anybody, if you want to do it, it is possible, because what you truly believe is the truth, good or bad. So just do it. Like, go out there and do it.
I just adore you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Say it. Well, you know, thank you for your time, and we'll see you later on, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Kimberly. Have a good one.